Is it normal for ENFPs to create drama everywhere they go? This is a very, very good question sent from an ENFP in my ENFP Unleashed program. Let's add a bit more to that. This has recently happened to me for the third time in 6 months. I tend to lose friendships this way and end up feeling that I've done something wrong and should have just stayed quiet. But my ENFP brain knows that the situation was wrong. I could see the bigger picture, see the injustice, and just needed to try and resolve it. So do ENFPs create drama everywhere we go? Should we just shut our mouths and let injustice go on? Or is there another way to find some kind of happy middle ground? So as for the first question, is this normal? Yes and no. If you've watched my video on the 6 human needs, it's a longer one, it's about 30 minutes. It's essential viewing if you want to be a true student of this channel. If you've watched that video, you know that many of us ENFPs, we have a strong need for uncertainty or excitement or variety. We like newness. We like to keep on our toes. We get bored really easily. And what this means is if we are not meeting that need in a healthy way, for example, with an exciting job, a very passionate lover, or travel around the world, that we may create drama. We may date cycle people. We may get into arguments we didn't really want to have in order to get that type of stimulation. So that is definitely a real possibility for why ENFPs may be more likely to create some kind of drama. I also think we tend to be pretty free-spoken, right? We share our opinions and we're willing to just make statements. We're not the most political people, right? Really being careful what we say to absolutely everyone. At least not when we're in the flow. Maybe we've had a few drinks or we feel really comfortable with someone. And this is going to be true for you. If it's true for you now, it will probably be true for you on some level for a lot of your life. And so what I've always done with it is embrace it and find your true friends. Find the people who will appreciate that. Most of my friends are a lot more, let's say, nuanced or political with how they express their opinions than I am. And that's okay. They appreciate me for keeping things interesting, for being so outspoken in certain cases or whatever it is, and that can create a really good loyal friendship. It also means your friends know where you stand and people appreciate that, especially in longer term, deeper friendships. The person who's a little offended or just uncomfortable because maybe you're a bit loud or outspoken or might curse occasionally, I don't know if that's the person you really want to be a good friend with, because if you become good friends with that person, let's say it's your friend of yours partner and they're like, oh, so-and-so gets thrown off by this or whatever. Okay, cool, you can start censoring yourself, but how far does that go? And I'm not saying you shouldn't censor yourself a little bit, for sure. Like if you're hanging out with an older person who's really likes calm around them, like maybe your grandmother, you shouldn't be like yelling at them as if you were in a nightclub with your friends. Like, of course you should adjust yourself at different times with different people. But you have to be careful of how far that goes. Like at what point are you just not being yourself at all? And are you using all your energy to filter yourself and restrict what you're saying? And that's gonna be pretty draining and not so fun. And also it may actually rob you of meeting the people who would really love you in more of your natural personality. Now, with that said, I got a feeling from your question that this has to do with maybe calling people out on things and saying this is wrong or this is right. And I have to say, I've become a lot more, let's say, stoic with this over the years in terms of not doing so in a personal environment, in a personal relationship. I'll give you an example. Some of you know my videos on multi-level marketing and how I feel. I was out for drinks the other night, myself and Gabby and another couple here in Spain, and the guy is involved in multi-level marketing. Not one of the really sleazy ones where you like change companies every 3 months and convince people who barely speak English to do it. It's more like an Avon and like a long-term product. He's been doing it 15 years, so really not so bad. Nothing I have a big problem with at all, actually. But in any case, I'm not gonna start calling him out on everything over drinks and make a big scene and be like, Gabby, we have to go. Even if he was involved in maybe a more of a borderline multi-level marketing business. Now, at a certain point I would. If it was like, oh, this is the scammer from, what's that, OneCoin, then I'd probably have to call the police and, you know, make a big stink about it all. But you do have to pick your battles and also realize like you might not know what the hell you're talking about. One of the things with ENFPs is we get really into stuff, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you look through the track record of many ENFPs There's a point where we are maybe vegan, or we have a certain strong religion, or anti-religion, or whatever else. And when we're in that, we really believe it, and we're really obsessed that everyone needs to know about this. This is the right thing. And as you mature, you do find that there's some nuance. I'll use the vegan thing. I'm not saying being vegan is right or wrong either way, but that some people, like myself, are allergic to basically all plant-based protein sources, and it really wouldn't be healthy or like work for me to be vegan, and I know that because I have tried. You learn that maybe some people who are politically conservative, if you are very politically liberal, you learn that actually their points make sense in certain ways, and that, you know, there is a nuance to it, and there's a balance between your beliefs and their beliefs, and actually it's the combination of the beliefs that make things work. And so that is something that I would encourage you to do, is to give other perspectives a bit more credit and give a bit more time to listen to them. Like maybe you've seen a bunch of Netflix documentaries and you know for sure that this other person's wrong, but maybe in 5 years they won't be wrong. Maybe you'll actually be the one on the other side of that conversation, as I found myself. I've literally found that where I'm like, I made the arguments you're making now. I used to make those arguments. Just keep an open mind. You'll learn more and develop yourself. So if you're with someone and maybe you disagree with them quite a bit, ask questions. Ask why they think that way. And not in some aggressive way, like, why do you think that way? But I mean, really, oh, interesting. Like, tell me about that. How does that work? What's that like? Etc. And get to know about it. And maybe you'll find that actually for this person, their way of thinking that's totally different than your way of thinking works really well. That's one of the most important things of learning about personality type. If you've been learning about personality psychology and the only thing you've taken away from it is what you're like and why everyone else should be like you, then you've missed the whole picture. Probably the number one benefit is understanding other people and knowing that they're actually different than you. So someone living a life that you think that would be terrible for you, it's not terrible for them. It's actually what they really want and what makes them happy. And if they tried to live according to your standards, they would actually be really unhappy. So if you do find that you are causing a lot of drama, causing a lot of issues, that's what I'd encourage you to do. Just ask more questions, listen more, learn to hold back, because there's two things. One is you could be right and there is some injustice, and probably the way to make a change is not the way you've been doing it, because if it's just been costing you friendships, you're probably not making a change. You're just, if anything, the person is going to dig deeper and cling to the way they were being that you told them was wrong. But you may also find that it's not really an injustice, as you say, and that they're actually doing something the right way for them or for the people in their life or whatever. So ask more questions, get to understand people better, and then ask yourself too, like, is this worth making a big deal about? Occasionally you might be out with a group of friends and there's someone there who's just a moron, and it's like, all right, we could make a big argument about this, but if this person is a moron and, you know, their views are ridiculous, then why engage, really? Like, if you're not going to change their views, and if you are going to change their views, if that really is your goal, where you really think, I care about this person, the way they're living is wrong, so I'm not attacking them for my own ego, I'm not attacking them to get attention because of some weird impulse, because I have to prove I'm right, but I actually care about this person and I think the way they are living is hurting them, then you probably want to more ask questions and get to understand them and get some insights rather than go on the attack. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in this ENFP Unleashed program I mentioned, you can head over to dreamsaroundtheworld.com/ENFP Unleashed. Check that out. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, I publish new videos each and every week, primarily for my fellow ENFPs. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and I will catch you in the next video soon.